Welcome back to my next playthrough series. Yes, this time we will be doing some role player adventures, and we're starting with the expansion, which you probably think I wouldn't, but we're going to start with the expansion because it happens 2,000 years before the original role player adventures. So we're doing Gulpax's Secret Expansion. And what is so nice about these games is they come with these really beautiful, looking like old modules from D&D. We'll be doing A1, Adventure 1, Festival of Heroes. Nice artwork as well. It is basically a choose-your-own adventure where we will have dice manipulation, like the original role-player game where you're trying to create your character. This is an adventure one, though, so you're going to be going through a book which is going to have a whole bunch of entries in it, and in this case it's called the Explorer's Guide, and it's going to have a whole pile. I won't show you anything, but there's a whole pile of entries in here specific to the adventure you are in, and you're going to be looking them up. You're going to be following along in the text, and I'm going to be playing with two characters. You can play solo, you can play two characters, you can play three characters, you can play four. I have everything set up. I'll go through the setup very quickly. This is our very first map. You can see here it says Festival of Heroes, Map 1. They're all double-sided. There are 7 adventures in this, in Gulpax's Secret. I think the original role player has 10 and an epilogue 11. So I think this has 7 and an epilogue, so 8, something like that. Okay, how does the game work? Well, like I said, it's a choose-your-own adventure. We'll get it. There's going to be a lot of me reading text, so you'll be hearing a lot of my voice. And we got a nice little miniature here, and the miniature is actually a little very cool. And I actually picked a human hunter and a dwarf warrior because they actually fit the mini. So this is our adventuring party, and we'll figure out what to do with that here in a second. Oh boy, there's lots to explain. It's not a super difficult game, but maybe we'll just get into how I did a bit of the setup, and then we'll get into Festival of Heroes, the adventure game itself. Alright, throughout the adventure we have an adventure party sheet, and it's going to give us, we start off with a 2-player game. You start off with 5 gold. There are 3 factions in the game. Depending on our choices through the game, we're either going to lose favor or we're going to gain favor on the 3 different factions. That's Queen Gimnix's favor, we have Gulpax's favor, and we have the Dragul Alliance favor. So depending on what we do in the game, that's what's going to happen. We have a play limit. What is a play limit? It has to do with the cards that are in your hand. So each player on a 2-player game can play 2 cards, and we have a bonus limit of 1 before we rest. And resting is pretty important in this game. They changed it from the original, how things work. Now you can basically rest when the adventure book tells you can rest 3 times without penalty. If you start resting the 4th time and beyond, you have to start permanently discarding cards out of your hand. And the cards in your hand are what you need to manipulate the dice to pass skill checks and defeat enemies, monsters, and such. So, without further ado, let's take a look at our 2 characters, and I'll explain a little bit about how they got set up, and then we will take a look at the setup for Festival of Heroes, and away we go. Alright, the first of our 2 characters is Aston Fletcher. He's a human hunter. Now, we have these cards. Now, he is a green character. There's 6 different colors: purple, white, black, green, blue, and red. And when you're doing a multiplayer game, you can't have 2 of the same color. So our hunter here is green. He has a special ability, which is basically Season. Choose a die in the dice pool, then discard any number of skill cards. For each card discarded, increase that die value by 1. Yes, it is a dice manipulation game. His starting hand, so on the back of his portrait card, these are the pre-generated characters. You could actually import a role player character that you created with the role player game into this game if you want. I'm not going to go through that process. It's pretty complicated, but it's doable. But anyway, there's a whole pile of pre-generated. This comes from the base game. Oh, and I must say, to play this expansion, you have to have the base game, because the majority of cards, dice, trays, and everything come in the base game. The expansion adds another whole campaign, but it's set 2,000 years in the past. That's why we're doing this one. So basically on the back of these cards, so it's, you see Austin Fletcher, he's a human hunter, he's green, and you can see here he's got strength of 1, dex 2, these numbers here. Now, we use these cubes here in there, so we have a strength, dex, constitution, wisdom, charisma, intelligence. So we've got 1 here for strength, 2 for dexterity, constitution. These will make sense when we play the game. I won't explain it too much right now. So he's a wanderer. It says, you have no place to call home. You live your life on the move, going wherever the road takes you. You have a carefree spirit and are always up for a new adventure. So that is our first player. I will briefly flash his cards up. He starts off, oh, and I should say on the back also, it tells you which cards you start with. So he's got 2 weapons, he's got an armor, skills, traits, and scrolls. So this is his starting deck of 7 cards. He's got Banish, and I'll explain all this when we play the game. He has Banish, he has Honorable, he has Subvert, Open Lock, a Leather Pauldron, Quarterstaff, and a Longbow. That is his starting hand. These cards will make sense as to how we use them when we play the game. Alright, let's take a look at our second character, Jada Blackbrow. She's a dwarf warrior. Alright, Jada here is a dwarf warrior, and her warrior special ability, these can be used once, and then they flip over, and then you have to rest to get your special ability back. I should mention that. Prepared! Return any amount of stamina from your strength attribute row to the supply. Flip an equal number of dice in the dice pool to their opposite face. So that's, you know, so you take a die. Now, the game comes with 36 dice. They're all different colors in the bag. So basically what that ability means, if you rolled a 1, you can flip it to a 6. You just flip the die over. Anyway, again, it'll make sense when we play. So for her, we take a look at her. She's got like 3 strength, 1 dex, 2 constitution, 0 intelligence, 1 wisdom, 1 charisma. And yes, you can level these things up as after we play the game. After each adventure, you get to upgrade your character. Very cool. So she's got 3 cubes here in strength, 1 intelligence, 2 con, and here we go as such. So these correspond to the colored dice in the bag. So we have red dice in the bag, black dice, green, purple, white, and blue, white, and purple. And her starting cards, not to flip back again, so she's got Foolish, she's got Relentless, Entrap, Intimidate, Chain Leggings, a War Lance, and Ancestral Blade. Alright, let's, without further ado, let's take a look in the Festival of Heroes Adventure 1 book and start off playing. And have I mentioned I will be doing a lot of reading. So, we are playing Festival of Heroes Adventure 1. And so we basically open up the book, and it has an introduction. It says the world of Ulos is at peace, thanks to the tireless efforts of the Heroes Guild under the guidance of the Immortal Knight. Members of the guild travel the land, lending their aid and settling feuds. But a new era dawns. The newly established nation of Nalos seeks to unify the land under the Queen's banner. Many clans and city-states have banded together in resistance to the Queen, forming the Dragul Alliance. Meanwhile, rumors spread that the world's greatest inventor, Gulpax the Crafter, is building a mysterious device of tremendous power. The peace enjoyed across the land threatens to come undone. Alright, so welcome to Gulpax's Secret. Is the second campaign in the Role Player Adventure series narrative-driven cooperative game. This campaign is set 2,000 years before the events of the base game, so we get the history here. It's going to be cool. And to play, you'll need Gulpax's Secret expansion, which obviously I have, and the Role Player Adventures game. Please read the rulebook before you begin, and etc. While the Nephros Judgment expansion is not required to play, several cards from that expansion may be optionally used in this expansion. So that was the first expansion to the Role Player Adventures, which we'll get into when we do Role Player Adventures, the very first one. But for Gulpax's Secret, we have some different things going on. They've incorporated kind of a backstory right into your character, and you'll see how that works here in a second. So the setup, place Festival Heroes map out, so that's all set up here. So I've basically gone through that. Place XP on each located location, A, B, and C. There's 3 locations, A, B, C there. And XP is denoted by these little blue cubes. Alright. Party Journal. place the tokens on the party journal. So I've done all that. Marked 0 are the starting factions. You saw all that as I showed you the party journal. The character sheets we've all set up. I've showed you that. Counter tokens. So there's a token number 1, a token number 2 on the map, and we've already placed them out there. And then fill each available counter space with one of the tokens, and then one character in the party. If you start with just a solo character, you get all this extra stuff. We, of course, are playing with a 2-player character. And I've also set aside one of these tokens. Find an event token from the supply. During the adventure, you may make choices that require you to place event tokens on the adventure map. If you explore a location that has an event token on it, follow the action indicator that says if there's an event token at this location. That is pretty much it. So we will be getting right into the prologue. But before we dive into the prologue, I thought I'd show you the map. It's very colorful. There's a token here, which goes to this space. I don't know if it's 1 or 2. There's another one here. And then there's these dotted white lines, which is basically places you can travel to. They haven't told us where to start yet, so we don't know where we are in the map. We'll get into the prologue. So there's a cube here at the festival. Location B. There's one here at the Garden of Heroes, and there's one here at the House of Alarcus. And there's other things that will happen on the map as we play. Alright, let's dive into the prologue. Alright, I hope that's showing up pretty clearly. It says, Watchmen unfurl banners bearing Azima's sigil, and trumpeters sound from every tower encircling the city of Wildwood. The Festival of Heroes has finally arrived. Crowds fill the narrow streets, laughing and singing at the top of their lungs. The air is thick with the scent of pastries and roasted meats. In Wildwood, elves, goblins, gnolls, and humans commemorate this holiday side by side. The procession is led by Imbri, the immortal knight, champion of Ulas. Sitting astride her white horse, townsfolk shower her with a seemingly endless supply of red and gold confetti from their balconies. The immortal knight will administer the test of champions. Any who succeed in her challenges will earn their rightful place in the Heroes Guild. It says, each player select a unique profession from the list below and write it in the player box of your character sheet. So we are each going to pick one of these unique professions. And I've already done that in my head because our hunter, who is our wanderer, human wanderer, is going to be the herbalist. He enjoys foraging and absorbing various effects from nature. So he's basically our ranger, so to speak. And of course our dwarf feisty little fighter here, she is going to be the bodyguard, where she uses armor to protect her companions. So she's going to have the bodyguard backstory, and our hunter, human hunter, will have the herbalist backstory. And so we write that down on our sheets, and then we have an entry in the book for each one of these, which is basically the prologue. So let me get that written down on their sheets, and then we're going to go into the backstories for the professions for both our hunter and our warrior. And have I mentioned there will be spoilers? Obviously, this is a role-playing adventure game. We're going to be going through the scenarios. I'm going to spoil everything, but I don't know. It's going to be a lot of fun. So he's an herbalist. Says if playing with more than one player, pass the storybook to someone other than the herbalist to have them read the following entry. Well, I'm the only one here, so I'm going to be reading it. It says the happy voices in the streets outside your shop match the excitement you feel within. After many years, you finally unlock the secret to a powerful formula of absorption. You chug down your glowing concoction and feel its effects instantly. Dizzying waves of hunger course through your body. You grab a nearby bouquet of toxic henvine and start munching. Sure enough, it tastes heavenly. And here you are, still alive with a tiny sprout growing from the back of your hand. Your potion works. This means that you can now assimilate the properties of whatever you eat. You can safely eat anything, and whatever you eat will taste amazing. You must take advantage of your potion while its effects last. You exit your shop and join the crowds. Today you will join the Heroes Guild and travel to far-off places, eating everything you can along the way. Your journey will advance the knowledge of herbal science for the benefit of all. So it says here, an herbalist player, we reveal rare card 158 and place it next to your character sheet. So let's get that card out and see what it is. Alright, looking at the attuned. So we're attuned basic herbalist. At the beginning of combat or a skill check, set a skill or trait card from your hand near this card. When the combat or skill checks is complete, return it to your hand. It says you may play any card from your hand as a copy of the set aside card. This counts against the play limit. And it says whenever you rest, return 1 additional stamina from your fatigue box to the supply. Cool. So that's another ability now we're going to have is the Herbalist. It says Herbalist player, if you do not have any skill or trait cards in your hand, and I do believe we start with skills and traits. Yeah, we've got 2 skills and we have 1 trait. So yeah, we definitely have that. So if you don't, then return a card or reveal a trait card from the trait deck and add it to your hand. Then return a card from your hand to its deck. So we're already good to go there. Read each section below that matches the profession of any player. So as we're playing through the game, if we get anything that says Herbalist, we're going to be reading it. We get anything that says Bodyguard, we'll also be reading that. It says if you've read all the matching professions, continue, your adventure begins. So our hunter is attuned, he's a basic herbalist. All right, let's take a look at our warrior and see what she's got to say, what it's got to say about Bodyguard. All right, Bodyguard. Here we go, prologue. If playing more than one player, pass the storybook. Anyway, I'm the only one reading. It says, Koru Alarcus races towards you through the city streets, her red and yellow robes trailing behind her. You've served the elvish matriarch and her family for generations. A letter, she explains breathlessly, from the queen herself. Cora thrusts an envelope into your hand. Your brother, Malto, has served as Queen's Gimnex's bodyguard for many years. But now the monarch's letter accuses him of abandoning his post. If he is ever found, he will stand trial for treason. Cora shakes her head. It doesn't make any sense, she insists. Malto is an honorable man. If he's gone missing, he must have a good reason. He could be injured or dead. You finish Cora's sentence in your head, but the elf is right. Something doesn't add up. Under your breath, you vow to find whoever is responsible for Malto's disappearance. Joining the Heroes Guild would be a sure way to get an audience with the Queen. All right, it says Bodyguard player. Reveal rare card 156 and place it next to your character sheet. All right, let's get out 156 and see what it's got to say for itself. All right, it says Bulwark, basic bodyguard. Whenever armor cards are revealed in a market or during advancement, reveal an additional armor card. Okay, because normally you reveal 1 card for the marketplace, so I guess we're going to reveal 2 armor cards. That's cool. Whenever you re-roll a die as the result of playing an armor card, add 1 stamina to this card. So this is just going to build up. That's pretty cool. And then we can spend 3 stamina from this card to treat any number of re-rolls on an armor card as a plus or minus 1 on the die during the current combat round or skill check. Very cool. So this Bulwark card will build up over time. It'll end up getting stamina cards on it, and then instead of just re-rolling for armor, which is most of the armor skills, we'll be able to use it as an up or down plus 1 or minus 1 on the die. Cool. All right, Bodyguard player, place a stamina on the Bulwark Profession card from the supply. So right off the bat, it gets 1 card or 1 token on it. All right, 1 stamina. Bodyguard player. If you do not have any armor cards, oh my god, she's got lots of armor cards because she's a warrior. Reveal a random armor card from the deck in your hand, then return a card from your hand to the deck. Read each section below that matches a profession of any player. If you've read all the matching professions, continue, your adventure begins. All right, I'm going to back camera out, and I think that's going to be it for today. When we come back tomorrow, the adventure will indeed begin, and we'll take a look at what's going on and the very first part of our adventure. All right, well, that's going to wrap up our introduction prologue for today. For Role Player Adventures, Gulpax's Secret, we have our human hunter, we have our dwarven warrior, and we're about to begin our adventure tomorrow. So when we come back, we're going to get right into Adventure 1, Festival of Heroes. And yeah, we're going to begin. So we'll probably be placed somewhere out on the map. We're going to be reading a bunch of text, making a bunch of choices, and going through this campaign. Of course, this is the first of 7 adventures. Why not start another whole campaign game, right? Am I right? Because I don't have enough on the go as it is. Anyway, thanks so much for watching along. Thanks for your comments, subscriptions, likes. This is Role Player Adventures, Gulpax's Secret Expansion. We're just about, tomorrow we're going to be beginning Adventure 1.